camps on the orders of Adolf Hitler. Thousands of Adolf Hitlers still live in Germany today, but the majority of them are elderly and were named before the end of the Second World War. As the name pales into vanishing rarity, 13 children according to official records were named Adolf Hitler between 2006 and 2013. Western Spring Television identifies Adolf Hitler as a major character in history. Ahmadu Bello, a Prince Royal, was born 6th of December 1910 at Raba Village, Sokoto, northwestern Nigeria. His father was a district head and heir apparent to the Sultanate throne from the house of Usmanu Danfodio, a religious and social reformer who brought the Harb dynasty under the Fulani Caliphate in the beginning of the 19th century. Ahmadu Bello raised the bar of political consciousness in participation when, in 1944, he engineered the establishment of the Northern People's Congress (NPC) as the first political party in northern Nigeria and the rallying point for politicians in the region before independence. History will not forget Ahmadu Bello for his charisma and political sagacity, which provided easy passage for his kinsmen to assume political and administrative positions in Nigeria's post-independence era. The distinguished elder statesman and Sardauna of Sokoto has his face on his country's 200 naira currency as a mark of honor to one of the architects of Nigeria's independence. Western Spring Television identifies Ahmadu Bello as a watershed character in history. This iconic African presents the narrative of a man destined to exert an imperishable global influence in Western education. His was a story of a freeborn, captured and sold into slavery. He was born in Oshogun, a native Yoruba village near Iseyin in Okiogun axis of southwest Nigeria. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was the foundation student of Fora Bay College, Sierra Leone, the foremost university where the pioneer set of native Africans were educated. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's greatest contribution to humanity was his translation of the Holy Bible into the Yoruba language. The man who authored the Yoruba dictionary was also credited with the translation of English classic hymns into Yoruba and the Ekwere languages. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's private residence in Badagry, incidentally the first story building in Nigeria, is an archival museum dedicated to the memory of Africa's first bishop. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ajayi Crowther as a watershed character in history. The 1914 Amalgamation Treaty is synonymous to the birth of Nigeria. Frederick Lugard, a British Army captain and an outlaw who struck gold in Africa, became the instrument used by destiny to make it happen. The amalgamation of Nigeria was designed for economic reasons by the colonial administration to offset Northern Protectorate budget deficit by Southern Protectorate surplus returns. The amalgamation had ab initio created imbalance in the economic political structure of Nigeria and was responsible for the persistent hiccups in the efforts to forge a united country till today. Nigeria's amalgamation was labeled as the mistake of 1914 by native northern conservatives who neither wanted it nor contributed anything significant to his sustenance. Western Spring Television identifies with Amalgamation Treaty of 1914 as a watershed event in history. Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1905, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. First television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history.
Atótó arére.
Kò ṣeé má gbọ́ ìròyìn. Bẹ́gùn bá jáde, mọ̀rìnwó la kọ́kọ́ rí, ọwọ́ gẹ́gẹ́ ní síwájú ìjó, ẹsẹ̀ katakata ní síwájú rìn, bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti ń gbúròó wa, a tún ti dé náà nù. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò Owambe Unlimited pẹ̀lú èmi ọmọ yín, olólùfẹ́ yín, ọ̀rẹ́ yín, Suliat tẹ́túmọ̀ sí Morenikeji. Ẹ lè pè mí ní Susu, tó bá wẹ̀ lómi, a sọ pé ìyálòde àríyá, gbogbo orúkọ tẹ́ ẹ bá pè mí, kò sí èyí tí mi ò ní jẹ yín. Ẹ farabalẹ̀, kẹ́ ẹ máa gbádùn ètò Owambe Unlimited lórí ìkànnì Western Spring Television ní ìkànnì 190. Ibẹ̀ ni Owambe Unlimited ń bọ̀ wá, ẹ fàkùrẹ̀ tẹ̀dí, kẹ́ ẹ máa gbádùn ètò àríyá wa.
Wọ́n sọ fún yín pé ẹ máa wo Owambe Unlimited lórí Western Spring Television.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West. And Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Bẹ́bíró bílẹ̀mọ̀dàwòrò kọ́ọ̀dẹ́ má dìbò sí. a ṣe gbé ètò yìí kalẹ̀ láti lè jẹ́ kóníkálùkù fi ṣe òdiwọ̀n ìdílé wọn. òtítọ́ ọbẹ̀ ni pé kò sí ìdílé kan tí ò ní ìpèníjà àti ẹ̀. ṣùgbọ́n àtẹ́lẹwọ́ ẹni la fi ń tún ẹni ṣe. àti oníkálùkù bá kọ sí ìpèníjà náà ìdílé yóò sọ bí ìdílé yóò ṣe rí. Bẹ́bíró ká finúkonú ká fi kùnlùkùn pẹ̀lú àwọn lọ́kọláya lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan lórí ètò. níbẹ̀ lọ́mọ Afọlábí ó ti mọ tàkótó òbéèrè sí wọn láláì fìkan pé méjì lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń dá òwòhòwò sílẹ̀ nínú ìdílé. bẹ́ẹ̀ sì làwọn àlejò náà yóò máa jẹ́ ká mọ ọ̀nà tí wọ́n ń gbé gbà sílé wọn ò fi dàrú tí fi ń tò. Bẹ́bíró ẹ máa pàdé Múyìwá Afọlábí lórí ètò yìí ní gbogbo ọjọ́ àbámẹ́ta láago 8 òwúrọ̀ tí àtúntẹ̀ rẹ̀ ó sì tún máa wá láàrin ọ̀sẹ̀ ní ìkànnì móhùnmáwòrán Western Spring Television ìkànnì 110 lórí StarTimes. Bẹ́bíró tọ̀sẹ̀ yìí ó máa yàtọ̀ ní kò ní yàtọ̀ fọ́.
ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan ló ń kojú àwọn ará àdúgbò àwọn ará àwùjọ tí ohun ò dẹ̀ dókè ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìnira ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìyà làwọn èèyàn ń kojú rẹ̀ ní àdúgbò ojú ọ̀nà tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó iná ọba tó mẹ́ẹ̀ tó ń ṣe ségesège àwọn tó ń hu ìwà àbàṣejẹ́ obì tí ń sun lẹ́rùn àti àwọn nǹkan tí ò tí ì dé tí gbọ́ ìjọba ṣé wọ́n ní etí ọba nílé etí ọba lóko èèyàn náà ló ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ òun náà ló jẹ́ kí ìkànnì Western Spring Television gbé ètò tí ó jẹ́ kẹ́yìn ara lé ẹ̀yin ará àwùjọ kẹ́ lè mọ́ sọ bí tí bàtà bá ti ń ta yín lẹ́sẹ̀ fún àwọn aláṣẹ ìjọba ohun tẹ́ ẹ ṣe ni wípé ẹ mú fóònù yín ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yín ẹ dábù rẹ̀ ẹ mọ̀ yá ní gbọ́rọ̀ ẹ dábù rẹ̀ ẹ ṣe àkàálẹ̀ ohun tó ń fẹ́ àmójútó ìjọba ohun tó ń fẹ́ àmójútó àwọn aláṣẹ ohun tó ń fẹ́ àmójútó àwọn elétò ìlera àwọn elétò ààbò àti àwọn míì tí ọ̀rọ̀ kàn ẹ má jẹ́ kí fọ́nrán náà ìyẹn fídíò tẹ́ máa ṣe àkàálẹ̀ rẹ̀ kó mọ̀ ju ìṣẹ́jú 2 tàbí 3 lọ ẹ má fi ṣọwọ́ sí wa ní orí WhatsApp lórí ẹ̀rọ 0803 865 1049 0803 865 1049 ẹ jẹ́ kí gbogbo àwọn fọ́nrán yín àwọn àwòrán yín kó máa wọlé orí ètò ojú ẹlẹ́rìí ẹ̀yin gangan lẹ jẹ́ ojú ẹlẹ́rìí ohun táwọn èèyàn nílò ohun tó ń jẹ àwọn èèyàn láwùjọ níyà ilé tí ò nílé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ ibi tí ò níbi tó ti ń dẹ ẹ̀gbin nù tó wá jẹ́ pé ẹ̀gbin wọn ní àwọn ará àdúgbò àwọn aráàlú lára gbogbo ẹ fi tó àwọn aláṣẹ létí ohun tẹ́ ẹ nílò ní agbègbè yín ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn aláṣẹ mọ̀ orúkọ mi ni Adéyẹmí Ọlápọ̀dé èmi ni atọ́kùn ètò ojú ẹlẹ́rìí lórí Western Spring Television ìkànnì 110 ní gbogbo ọjọ́ ajé láago 2:30 ọ̀sán.
Evelyn Ohiole,
Hi.
King Eve. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you, how are you? And you said, you're saying, I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine will be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
Go and check all these 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and he feels so reserved. He really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe he's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just being unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Cassie is an amazing person, but I hate the too much attaché to that gender. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? I know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday. They are saying it favors you, favor. Are they vex so?
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
Who are you now?
Well, MC Too Much said, he likes saying when I was in the world. And the last time I checked, well, it looks a bit innocent, facially, but deep down, he's actually out of this world. We're all in the world now. As long as you're alive, you're in the world. So MC Too Much, I beg when you talk about that. I don't want to hear that. Next time you talk about I kiss my words.
I think I have a problem with you saying ladies are champion, and that's the problem. Always trying to attach so much importance to that gender.
It's giving insecurity, it's giving low self-esteem, it's giving a blatant display of egoism. Because at the end of the day, a man who is secured in his worth, a man who is confident of who he is, will not really be disturbed as to whether women are being referred to as champions or not. I mean, at the end of the day, Joseph's a really great guy, but whether he likes it or not, women are champions.
Èdè Yorùbá jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára àwọn èdè tí wọ́n ń sọ ní agbègbè Niger Congo. Èdè Yorùbá gbajúgbajà ní àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè tó ń bẹ ní ẹkùn ìwọ̀ oòrùn ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀. Ó kéré tán, àwọn ènìyàn bíi mílíọ̀nù 14 ló ń sọ èdè Yorùbá lónìí. Ètò akọ́mọlédè ló ń dé sójú ìwòran yín láti iléeṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán WSTV ìkànnì 150 channel 190 lórí Star Times. Folúṣọ́ Ayaolúwagbémiga, ìyá ìjọ pèdèpèdè, ìyá akọ́mọlédè ló kọ tèmi. Yorùbá dùn púpọ̀, Yorùbá ò lè kú, Yorùbá ò lè parun. Tiwa làṣà, tiwa lèdè, tiwa nìṣẹ̀ṣe akọ́mọlédè.
Western Spring Television. Ours it is. Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Yes, good afternoon, viewers at home. You're welcome to your favorite program, Spring Clinic. This is a platform where we discuss all the health concerns of our people, and we attempt to take it from the very sophisticated professional angle to simple discussions where our people can benefit. A lot of us may know that we should go to the hospital, but we are not guided enough. The burden of this program is such that we are educated, we know about some of our health concerns, and all of them, not even some, all. Right from the point of the caregivers, that is the professional caregivers, and even those that are also at the receiving end. And this is what we are doing on this Spring Clinic, a program on Western Spring Television, channels 190, start time. You're welcome. I have the privilege of discussing a very important topic this afternoon, which is the health concerns of women. We know that there's a popular saying that says that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Women are so crucial, so important part of the society, part of our lives, that their health is of paramount importance. When anything goes wrong with the health of women, the family collapses, the society collapses. And that's how serious the discussion today is. We're going to look at a kind of a panoramic view of the concerns of health, the health concerns of women today. And I have the privilege of bringing somebody who is deeply experienced in the care of women. He's a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist. He works at Uni-Osun Teaching Hospital, the gynecologist stroke obstetrics unit of the teaching hospital. I have the privilege of bringing on Dr. Oluseyi Atoda. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's a pleasure bringing you on this program.
My pleasure to be here.
We're going to have a very wonderful time here today because I don't think it's a topic we can exhaust just in a few minutes. Women, most people want to look at them as weaker vessels. And some people erroneously think, or don't let me say erroneously, they think that women, what's your own opinion about this popular saying about women being weak?
Well, I think the issue of women being weaker vessels may be a defensive statement, probably from the men folk, to try and defend ourselves from the so many other colleagues that go with a woman. Let's start with, we have never found anybody say behind a successful woman is a successful man.
Absolutely.
They say behind every successful man, there's a woman behind him. So that woman is not likely to be a weak vessel.
And they even say that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world.
Yeah. Then we never said Father Africa. We said Mother Africa. We can just keep going on and on. And you know, earlier on when you talked about when the woman is not there, and I remember something came to my mind that I came up with some time ago, that somebody said, I can't remember the name of the poet now. He said, women are like the salt. Their presence is never felt, but the absence. And you remember, which is true.
That's true, sir.
When you eat food in your homes, nobody remembers to say, oh, F your sorbet.
That's correct. If
or
the
you
salt
put
is already there.
But just try it one day that they serve you food without
it's like
salt.
your wife traveling for a week.
Exactly.
And you have to take care of the children.
Yeah.
As one is trying to jump from the table, the other one is actually trying to light the gas that he does not know, or is running, wants to run out. And then you wonder.
And you're supposed to prepare them for school. And you also don't want to be late for work, that for them to catch the bus and you also get to work. And these women do all these things every day.
You know,
she's the gate man, she's the timekeeper, she's the housekeeper, she's your alarm clock.
Absolutely. She's your financial expert. Apparently, from our own field, we found out that the brain of a woman, you know, we have two hemispheres. It's been established by science that the two hemispheres of the women keep working at the same time.
Yes.
That's why they can multitask.
Yes.
The men, it is just one of the hemispheres.
Exactly.
So I think they must be quite powerful.
I agree too.
There should be some form of consequences to this enormous strength, enormous task. What do you think are some of the challenges they can face medically as a consequence of this enormous
If you look at it from a broader perspective before Koninda, I think part of these challenges and all what they go through, that is why if we go in terms of lifespan, that you discover that most times the women are likely to have a shorter life expectancy rather than the man. It could be.
Although men argue that. Men argue that women outlast them.
Well, men argue that quite all right.
I think so. But I think beyond that too, the hormonal profile in itself takes them into a roller coaster almost every 4 weeks.
I think to remind us also, those who say women outlast them is usually based on men who have actually probably married a woman 7-10 years younger than he is. So what does he expect?
Oh, okay.
But if you marry a woman that is likely your age, you are likely going to go before her.
So most likely it's a strategy maybe men adopt so that
to make sure that
they can have some measure of control. So women, what are these common problems from your own experience that you think they come up with?
I think because we are saying health concerns of women, but we should even have said that health concerns starting from the female, right from childhood to adolescence, to being that young woman, the middle-aged, the elderly woman. There are concerns associated with every aspect of
their life,
being
a woman.
A woman.
So let's start from being an adolescent. What are some of the challenges?
From being an adolescent, the greatest challenge you could have is the onset of menses when she achieves menarche.
That could be traumatic? That could be troublesome?
It could be troublesome, it could be traumatic if she has not been psychologically prepared. And we live in a society whereby we shy away from discussing some of these intimate things with our children.
Especially our girls.
Yes, our girls.
Yeah.
So a girl who is in school and has not had anything like this before, she starts bleeding.
When she gets stained.
So that can really be traumatic.
Absolutely.
For her.
I also heard that from our own field, I'm a psychiatrist. Some of them could actually have some behavioral changes that we, as forced us as psychiatrists to even classify as premenstrual syndrome.
Yes.
Where there's change in mood, abrupt change in moods.
Yes.
Unduly irritable, very anxious. Some of them will not sleep. Some of them may even have mood swings and all of that. So apart from that, what are some of the other challenges?
So then when it comes to the issue of sexual exposure to, if the girl has not been opportuned to have been well counseled about this issue of you becoming a woman, and they are now developing secondary sexual characteristics. That's also a challenge.
Absolutely.
You find some of them that when they start getting busty, she tries to compensate with postural differences. You find the woman, she's trying to walk like this, trying to hide her bust.
That's correct. And some who are not as blessed, can also have a lot of
some
psychiatric
of them
problems.
Now start trying to walk like this,
beyond,
so that people
even beyond that, even beyond the postural thing, some of them can even have a lot of psychological problems.
Yes.
About the fact that they feel that what makes them a woman is not just there.
Not there.
And some can actually be depressed.
Yes.
And parents are not aware.
So those are just even physiological changes that have not even come to disease conditions.
Absolutely. In fact, some of them can actually dovetail into frank psychiatric disorders.
Yes.
Some people get depressed because of the way they look, a lot of dysmorphic features, syndromes, a lot of them depressed because they feel what makes them a woman is not there, depending on, where they are growing. There's this syndrome, they call it anorexia nervosa. It's not very common here.
Yes.
But of course, I think our children are getting there, especially the females, where they want to look very thin,
slim.
And when they think they're adding weight, they don't like themselves. And some can actually get so preoccupied. Thank you, doctor. So what other things?
So if we leave that, now when it now comes to the grown woman in the middle age of making babies, the challenge a woman can have is we already have that societal pressure on women, believing that once you get married now, and everybody says, oh, this time next year, we're coming for your naming ceremony. So we have even already started with pressure on right there on the day of marriage.
Yeah, because if the woman doesn't get pregnant in this part of the world, and I think it's changing, maybe that's an area you need to let us know, it is the woman's fault, not the man's.
Yes.
She's not a productive woman.
Yes.
And at times, I think men have been brought into family meetings where they said, where did you get this kind of a girl?
Yes.
Somebody can even say the day they saw her leg is so thin.
Yes,
and they already saw that this one cannot have children. That's why she doesn't have
which is actually not the...
So what about this infertility and women?
So that's, in fact, that's a great challenge, which is even now on the increase. The medical books used to say if you have been in marriage and you have slept with your husband regularly, average of 3 to 4 times a week for 1 year, that is when we declare it infertility. But nowadays, it's changing because now you even have women getting as old into their middle 30s before they start getting married. That's also a challenge because now everybody wants education.
Yes.
As to strike here and there, schools are not moving as fast as it used to be. So a woman finishes secondary school, tries a master's, wants a PhD, everything. She still wants to acquire it in her father's name. So by the time she's getting married, she's in her mid-30s.
So could that be contributory to some of this delayed?
Yes, because infertility is on the rise and age is associated with it. Then environmental changes, it's also affecting the quality of eggs of women. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is on the rise.
What is this polycystic?
Polycystic ovarian syndrome is a situation in layman whereby on a monthly basis, instead of a woman just to produce between 4 to 6 eggs baseline in her ovaries, she has close to about 10-12 eggs. So 10-12 eggs try to develop together every month. Confusion sets in and there's a halt. So the woman ends up not ovulating regularly. So you see such women, she does not have a monthly menses. Maybe one menses now, no menses for 3-4 months, and some other things associated with it.
Yeah, what are the other factors again that we could see on the part of women that could be contributory to this infertility?
The other one that could be is, nowadays we have lost some ideals of our culture. We have lost the family unit relationship is not there. So many ladies have had mistakes in their life, may have had early premarital sex, contracted sexually transmitted infections, not poorly treated, leads to other factors of infertility. So tubal blockage is also on the rise there, repeated infections. We are now in a society whereby having maybe we'll say is westernization or civilization. Women also having multiple relationships at the same time, sexual partners. So all those will still tell on the overall health of her in terms of infertility.
How about the men?
For the
in
men
terms
also,
of infertility, is it just the man's? Is it just the woman's factor?
No, you know, before now the books used to say female factor was 40%, male factor 40%, then unexplained 20%. But I think now we think man is on the increase.
Are you serious?
In my fertility clinic, out of every 10 couple I see, at least 5 or 6 of them either have a low sperm count. And from that 5 or 6, 2 of them have 0 sperm count, azoospermia. I think that's more on the increase now compared
what do you think is responsible, although it's not a men's clinic here, but because it will help us to understand this concept of infertility. You know, traditionally or culturally, I don't know which one, but oftentimes we hold the woman responsible.
Yeah,
so what you are saying means that the table should be turned towards the men.
Well, I think it's just the men trying to take care of their ego. Because if not, if you go back into our history and statements made by our fathers, which we have tried to look back into some of those things, how did we come about the concept of Ileton Toru?
Meaning that there may be some form of
from inception
from the man, and then some people hired to,
whether a cousin, a brother, or someone else entire. Because I've always thought of it, why was that statement there?
And it's like an emphatic statement.
Yes.
Like almost every time, every family may have 1 or 2.
Exactly.
Which is to cover up for the infertility factor of the man.
Of the man.
Not from the women.
Not from the women. So that means the man too has actually always been there. But then maybe they had ways of trying to
cover it.
To cover
of course,
it.
in a patriarchal society where the women's voices are not heard, and of course everything happens because of the woman.
Yes.
Not the men.
Yes.
So we've had a way of wriggling out.
Yes.
And
even some of them then that they know, they have always found ways of probably getting a brother to do the job, and everybody keeps it as a family secret.
That's what can explain that statement.
Yeah.
You know, I never looked at it that way, but it only sheds light today.
It actually had been there.
So what advice do you have for a lot of women that are actually undergoing this infertility? Because it seems to be common.
I think the advice will be, if you are 35 years and above, 6 months into marriage, I think you should just see a gynecologist to be sure that all is well with you. 6 months into marriage.
How do they get the men? Because at times some of the men will not want to come.
That's why we all have a role to play to encourage men that it's no longer a woman's thing. Even if the woman has the issue, she needs the support of her husband. There's a lot of psychological trauma for a woman who is infertile. So she needs the support of the man to be able to protect her, care for her when she's naturally down psychologically, and to save her from societal pressure. You find such women, they try to coil back into their shell.
No, because they are stigmatized.
Yes, they don't attend social functions.
Because they'll be asking.
They don't attend family gatherings.
Yeah, because they'll be asking them. Yeah. They won't ask the man, they ask the woman.
They ask the woman.
So oftentimes,
the only thing we ask the man is moto enko.
So somehow, I think a good number of the women recoil from social interactions.
Yes.
They take all the blame. But so viewers, what we are learning this afternoon is that when there's infertility, the factors are even rising for men being the cause of infertility.
Yes, certainly.
So which means that when this occurs, it's not the time to trade blames. It's not the time to say you are the one that is infertile, you are the one. Let's go for tests. Let doctors look at it as we pray. Because some even escape into religiosity, they don't even go for tests for several years.
And you know what I tell my patients when they say, oh, I've been on the mountain for this number of months, I've seen this, I've seen that. I say, but have you seen the doctor? So I'm just going, I say, but I've never seen a book that says pray and walk. What the books have said is walk and pray. So that means you have not done the walk and you are praying.
Wow, fantastic.
So yes, you must pray, but you must walk before you pray, so that the prayers can help us.
I hear of this illness, fibroid. What is it all about? I mean, it's very common, and it happens to a lot of good girls.
Yes.
Quote and unquote.
Well, you see, part of what we know from age long is any womb that refuses to carry a baby will carry a fibroid, in layman's language. So nowadays, that women are taking longer to get married, fibroid will be on the rise. Unlike when our mothers got married at 21, 22
Even
years
some of
of
them 18,
age,
19.
and they still had education.
Absolutely, yes.
Then, my mother got married at 21 years of age, and by then she had her NC, and thereafter she proceeded with a degree program. But nowadays, it's a changing thing.
It's like you're advising us that our women should get married quite early once they find somebody, once they find a good suitor.
Yeah, that may have been.
It could
But
be quite
unfortunately,
protective.
yeah, it could be protective. But unfortunately, other societal concerns must come into play. The woman who is 21 that you're asking to get married to, the boyfriend may also be 21 years of age, a 300 level student.
Both of them being fed.
Yeah.
Being fed from home.
And you want them to start making babies. So things are actually changing.
Are changing.
They are changing other dynamics in the society,
socio-economic,
which we must also curtail with.
We must bring into
So
consideration.
every black man has a tendency to develop fibroid.
Yeah.
Every black woman.
What's the
being
treatment?
black?
What can we do? Can it be managed?
Yeah, that's I think the one we should actually go with. Anybody who has fibroid should actually see a gynecologist. Coupled with the fact that if you have infertility issues along with it, so that they can professionally tell you if the fibroid has anything to do with your challenge of getting pregnant or not. Not every fibroid has to do with getting pregnant. But there are other concerns. If the fibroid is there and it's big enough that obviously shows that you are about 4 to 6 months pregnant or beyond, then you must do something about that.
There's no way a baby can coexist with that.
Yes. Even apart from that, it may be pressure on your kidneys, and you may also develop hypertension.
Yeah.
With that. Then if your fibroid is that is giving you prolonged menses, instead of having your 4 to 5 days and you are menstruating 8 days, 1 week, 17 days, there's a need to do something about that. Or you're having a heavy flow to the point that you could collapse during the menstrual cycle. That's blood loss. So fibroid is something
These are signals that
you
are pointing to the fact
you
that
must see a doctor.
Yeah.
Yes, I know we all have the fear of the knife. I don't want surgery, and people think, let's look for alternative care. But let me say that all the herbals that are out there, whether Western herbals, traditional herbals, and other alternative therapies, they may shrink the fibroid.
Okay.
But unfortunately, the fibroid still tends to grow back after some months or years.
When the hormones come again,
the fibroids tend to grow back. And also, I know somebody out there, if this was a phone-in program, would quickly say that, but they also say that when you remove the fibroid, there's a likelihood for it to grow back. Yes, I agree. That's how challenging fibroid is.
That's okay.
Because you may not have removed everything. There may be some that are just like millet seedlings
and then
that
start growing up
will
again.
start growing. But surgery is still a better option. And avoid caustic substances inserted in the vagina. That is not the right one.
Thank you.
Any herbal they give you that is other than you taking by mouth or probably rubbing on your abdomen if it works, but if it's for you to insert,
it can be more destructive.
Yes, we have seen women who end up having an adhesion in the vagina, whereby the vagina gets plastered together and cannot even admit a finger. Not to even talk of admitting
this is serious.
Something else. So
thank you, Doctor.
That can be an issue.
Dr. Atoda, we can see that viewers at home that there is an interesting discourse going on here. A number of things that we have not seen. We're going on a short break. We will continue hitting this point by the time we come back. Don't go away, please.
The 1914 Amalgamation Treaty is synonymous to the birth of Nigeria. Frederick Lugard, a British Army captain and an outlaw who struck gold in Africa, became the instrument used by destiny to make it happen. The efforts to forge a united country till today. Nigeria's amalgamation was labeled as the mistake of 1914 by native northern conservatives who neither wanted it nor contributed anything significant to its sustenance. Western Springer Television identifies with Amalgamation Treaty of 1914 as a watershed event in history. The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which recognize the King of England as the titular head.